Welcome back to r/LegalAdvice, where people ask questions, get advice, and we get satisfaction. If you are new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe to join our amazing community, and without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. And the first one is titled, Pennsylvania, I am a landlord, a house I own suffered substantial damage due to the windstorm last week. I am set to move the family to a hotel or another house I own, all at my insurance expense. Tenants are refusing to leave the property and are demanding $5,000 for the inconvenience. I was told by my son that you all could help. He typed this out for me. I am in Pennsylvania. I am sitting next to him to answer questions. I am going to skip a lot of the details here, but suffice it to say that the home is almost uninhabitable. A large part of the roof is gone, exposed wood at this point, almost all the vinyl siding is gone, the insulating foam and home wrapping is gone, and the deck and a few windows and a sliding glass door was taken out by a large tree, owned by the HOA. There are weeks, if not a couple of months of work required to get this place back to normal, and having occupants in there is just going to make it difficult. I informed my tenants on Monday that they had two options. First, I was going to make arrangements for them to stay at a hotel for a short time so that I can get another house I own move-in ready. The house will be ready to move into on Tuesday next week. They can live out the life of the lease. I will pay their moving expenses. This house is about 400 square feet larger than the current house and is nicer, upgraded appliances, granite countertops, brand new carpet as of tomorrow. Number 2, they can get out of their lease if they want to. We can mutually dissolve it right now. I will pay moving expenses too. They are refusing to make a decision, as in they have told me that they are under no circumstances leaving the house, and that because the house is now not as well insulated due to roofing, siding and window damage, I will be expected to cover the cost difference in the heating bill. They are staying put for the remaining 16 months on their lease. They then demanded through a text that they will consider moving if I also pay them $5,000. Not really sure where that number came from. I am not sure how to proceed here. I've been a landlord for a number of years. This is my primary income and have never encountered this level of crazy before. I have contemplated calling the town code enforcement and making a complaint against myself as a way to get them out, but I am not sure if that will work. Do I really have to go through a full eviction process here? Help! I have a general contractor standing by to start work as soon as I snap my fingers. And a user in the comments said, absolutely go and see a real lawyer, not internet lawyers' time. If they are refusing to move, you're going to need some sort of court order, in other words an eviction, to get them out. If the house is legally uninhabitable, this should hopefully allow you to speed up the process somewhat. But they have already made it clear to you that they are going to be as difficult as possible. So call a lawyer rather than trying to do it yourself from this point. You're going to need to make sure you have all your ducks in a row, because I strongly suspect your tenants are going to be enormous dicks about the whole process. And you know guys, this is actually a nice role reversal, if you could call it, because usually in these stories the landlords are making the problems and not the tenants themselves. Unless we have a story about squatters. By the way, what I also notice, it seems like you guys, aka my audience, really enjoy stories about squatters for some reason. If you want to hear more stories about entitled squatters, please let me know in the comments. And the next one is titled, PA Update Storm Damaged House, the tenants are out of the house, yay for the code enforcement folks. I posted an update in the thread, but it did not actually post. Whatever, here is what has happened in the past few days. My dad told me to close the loop with you guys and post this. We do appreciate the discussion and insight. I will try and answer a few questions that came up in the thread. First, no illegal activity in the house. Sorry to disappoint, the $5,000 was conjured up by some very bad legal advice by their son. He graduated pre-law a few months ago, hence he's living with them now, and for some reason he thought mom and dad were entitled to money. We contacted our family lawyer. He sent us to another acquaintance lawyer of his that handled real estate stuff. He set aside 30 minutes for a free phone initial consult. About 12 minutes in, he told us to call the town and get code enforcement to the house to declare it uninhabitable. He's drafting a letter for us to give to the now old tenants that states that the lease is terminated along with their security deposit. My father said it was strange to report against himself. Within about 4 hours we got a call from a person from the code enforcement department. They declared the house too damaged to live in, told the renters to take what they can now and spend the night at a hotel. They were given the next day to move everything out. We rescinded our offers to help pay for hotel or moving expenses, not sure if we should be concerned about them coming after us, as we do have it in email/text messages us offering to pay, but we also had a back and forth regarding them making a decision before we sent the code folks out there. Basically said, agree to leave by tonight and we will help you pay for the move or lose it. We got a "We are not effing leaving" response. When we got to the house to meet with the code enforcement person, the mother and son were red in the face, screaming their heads off at the code person. He actually threatened to call the cops if they did not de-escalate immediately. Someone wrote on one of the damaged walls, "F you, landlord name." We can guess who. Insurance adjuster came out this morning and will be in contact with us as the damage to the house is in the tens of thousands. There was enough damage in the house caused by the tenants that would warrant us keeping the security deposit, but it seems almost petty at this point because the insurance company is about to cover a lot of damage to the house. Mostly carpet and wall stuff, but the adjuster said they are covering carpet and quite a bit of drywall replacement because of the water damage to it from the holes in the house. Anyway, they moved out this weekend. Sunday we had a contractor cleaning up the place and they are going to start repairs this week. Estimated completion time is 9 weeks. This has really shaken my dad up as he thought he had a good working relationship with his family, and for them to suddenly be so awful to them is making him really sad. And guys, thank God this was not the last update, there's one more, and if you have watched until here and appreciate me doing updates, then please don't forget to post some star emojis in the comments and also like the video to support me. Thank you so much in advance, I really appreciate your support tremendously. And the next one is the final update to the wind damaged house. It is titled, "Tenants refused to move, they tried to sue us and the judge yelled at them." It is done and my father wanted to let you all know the conclusion of the situation. The house was repaired in a very timely manner and we ended up selling the place. In fact, I was able to convince my dad to sell all his rental properties, 9 of them. He is so happy that he did. He's got a sizable nest egg to live off for many years. Mom and dad are going on like a 30-day trip around Europe next year. So the tenants ended up suing my dad in small claims for, wait for it, $5,000. How about that? Their son, who apparently is actually in law school and actually passed the LSAT, decided, as a resident of the affected home, to be the one who did the speaking in the courtroom to the judge. This did not go well. After a bit of back and forth between my father, the judge and the kid, the judge scolded the son and threatened to call his school for his unconscionable, unreasonable and childish behavior in the court if he did not back down. He went on to say something like, "Your ill-informed understanding of the law and disregard for my father's generous offer has put you and your family in a worse off situation. You should know better. My father offered you all an opportunity that many other landlords would not do, and you squandered that opportunity. Shame on you," on and on. Needless to say, the judge was mega pissed. The 20-something legal scholar's mom was sitting next to him. She was crying after the verbal lashing from the judge and kept mumbling to her son, "We should have just taken my father's offer. He's a good man. Why did you do this to us?" The case was thrown out and the parents apologized to my father. So that's that, it is over. And I gotta say guys, for a legal advice story, this is a very satisfying ending if you ask me. And the next one is titled, My grandmother, who is illiterate and started losing her mind, signed a lease for a car she cannot afford. Hey Reddit, I really need advice. My grandmother, who cannot read or write and is starting to lose her mind, signed a lease for a car that she cannot afford. My grandmother wanted a new car, but her credit is bad. She was watching TV and saw a commercial for a dealership. She called the dealership and they sent someone to come pick her up. When it was all said and done, she had signed a lease for a car. She ended up leasing a fully loaded SUV, the payments are $600 a month and she cannot afford that on her fixed income. This afternoon I found out she signed the lease 3 days ago. She was embarrassed and did not want to tell me. When I asked her why she did that, knowing she couldn't afford it, she said she was confused and did not know why. My cousin called the dealership yesterday and the dealership did not seem interested with helping with the situation. I understand they are business and don't care about personal issues. She wants to either get out of the lease or get a cheaper vehicle. I am planning on calling the dealership tomorrow or Sunday. I did not want to call today because I was not feeling level-headed about the situation. What can I do to help her? Any advice is appreciated. Edit, this is in New Jersey. Update, I spoke to the sales manager and he said they followed all protocol. He said if it was his grandmother, there was nothing they could do. He couldn't talk to me about the contract because I am considered a third party. He also stated a salesman spoke to her yesterday and she said everything was fine. I called my grandma and she did not speak to them at all. I am having my cousin take my grandmother there and I will be meeting them there to attempt to come to a resolution. I want to send a sincere thank you to everyone who has chimed in with advice. Edit, my grandmother just recently paid off her house, so she does have assets. Her endgame is to sell her house and move back to Morocco. She is a US citizen and receives Social Security. If I cannot get the dealership to come to a resolution, she is afraid that if she lets the car get repoed, she will lose her house and never be able to retire back in Morocco. And a user in the comments suggested, contact New Jersey Adult Protective Services. Within 72 hours of a referral's receipt, a face-to-face meeting with the adult by a trained APS social worker is required. They may determine something that will be helpful. And another guy in the comments said, I've worked APS for 8 years and I thought I would also add that you should contact your local area agency on aging. This happens a lot more than people would think. AAA will have social workers that can advocate on your grandmother's behalf. Ours also had volunteer elder law attorneys that worked a couple of cases like this. I'm not saying that they can rectify the situation, but more eyes on a case like this brings more solutions. Plus, I like seeing pissed off social workers go after people that mess with our seniors. Give them a call and get them involved. And guys, I'm not sure if I confused the profession of car salesman with something else, but isn't this also a very old cliche that car salesmen sell cars to basically everybody, even if it is old ladies that don't even know what is going on? I think I've heard about something like this in the past, and it actually reminds me of an episode of the Dave Ramsey Show where a recent college graduate got a loan from BMW for an expensive car, and essentially he was paying something like $1,000 per month in loans, and obviously that loan should have never been granted. If you have any interesting car salesman stories, please let us know in the comments. And the next one is an update to the grandmother story. First off, I would like to thank everyone for the advice they gave. It made me feel so much better knowing that there are great people out there willing to help. On Saturday, I contacted the dealership. They were no help and told me even if it was their grandmother, there was nothing they could do. After the phone conversation, I felt my next move was to go to the dealership with my grandmother. At the dealership, I spoke to the sales manager and the conversation did not go well. I explained the situation to him and he said there was nothing he could do because they did everything legally. He said they could not discriminate based off of mental complicity. Then he went on to say that it was the same as him not being able to discriminate based off if someone was black, Asian, etc. He then went on to compare it to them asking a woman to speak to her husband. At that point my younger cousin got upset and began speaking to him, and he got annoyed and then stated,
"You are making me not want to help you.
and that
If this is the case, where were you when she was here?"
I told him that we needed to step outside to continue this conversation. Outside of the room I explained that what he said came off extremely disrespectful and that the dealership came and picked her up, so how would I know this was happening? A few minutes later I realized speaking to this guy was a waste of our time. I did find out on the bank paperwork it said 3000 SSI a month, which is way off. I confronted him about the number and he said my grandmother confirmed it. I asked her in front of him how much she makes and she had no idea. I asked if he verified her income and he said he did not need to. After I left the dealership, I had a friend of mine who sells cars look at the paperwork and he discovered they had her sign up for a $1,700 service agreement, even though the terms of the lease would have that car covered through the car manufacturer's warranty. He informed me that it seemed they padded the lease as much as possible and that I should inform the bank that she cannot afford the lease because it is almost 50% of her fixed income. I called the bank, which is through that car manufacturer, and explained the entire situation. The lady on the phone asked me if I was trying to break the lease early. I explained that I was just trying to get the lease nullified due to unethical business practice and the fact she could not afford it. She transferred me over to customer care and I explained the entire thing there as well. The lady was helpful and escalated the issue to the regional customer service person. She said they would call me the next day on Tuesday. I received a call on Tuesday but missed it due to being in a work meeting. I called the guy back 3 times yesterday and left messages. I also called him this morning and have not heard back. I then called her county APS office and explained the situation. They said they could not help and that I should seek out legal help. Currently, I am waiting to hear back from the customer service manager and trying to find a lawyer who deals with these situations. And unfortunately guys, this was the last official update to the story posted on Reddit, but fortunately I was able to do some further digging and it seems that OP resolved the situation by speaking to the customer service manager, and essentially as soon as OP talked about his lawyer, the company agreed to nullify the lease, probably because they did not want to go to court for this and also because they did not want to ruin their reputation. Still, I gotta say that is a very unethical dealership if you ask me. And the last one is titled, Housemates Married, I am renting from, both killed in traffic accident, I have no family contacts. I've been renting a floor in a house from 2 good friends for the last 5 years, no lease or paperwork, and the friends were a married couple. Both of my friends were killed in a head-on collision. There are no children or siblings, both have living parents whom I have met a few times but are all out of state and I have no contact information for them and my deceased housemates are not on social media. I am trying very hard to find someone who can at least put me in touch with a parent, so far no success. My friends were very private people and somewhat estranged from other family members, and I have yet to find someone in our network of friends who has any connection with either family. I don't know what to do at this point. I am setting aside my monthly rent for whomever it should go to as successor eventually. Is there anything I can legally do to take over utility payments like power, water, gas so service does not get cut off for non-payment? Or should I just move out while preserving my set aside rent for eventual payment to whomever is entitled to it? I want to do the right thing here. I absolutely want to pay my monthly rent to my friends' successors, and I would also like to cover the utility bills until I have found a new place to live or until their successors and I reach an arrangement to continue living in the house as a renter. I also, to whatever extent is possible, would like to ensure my housemate's property is cared for. That is the legal stuff, and I deliberately put it at the top of my post to separate it from the emotional stuff. Emotionally, I am effing devastated. 2 of my closest friends for the last 20+ years wiped out by a drunk driver. And a user in the comments said, if they were employed by companies, it is possible that HR has a NOK on file. And guys, unfortunately on Google I was not able to find out what an NOK on file is. If you know, please let us know in the comments. Either way, likely the spouse, but I always put 2/3 extra on mine. Then again, this is my line of work, so I know how difficult it can be to find NOK. Editor to add, if phones are intact, investigator may be able to access emergency info, at least on iPhones. Second edit, depending on the state, you might have luck with public records backtracking to their family. I've gotten lucky that way before. Update, housemates married I'm renting from both killed in traffic accident, I have no family contacts. Update, housemates married I'm renting from both killed in traffic accident, I have no family contacts. Thank you to everyone here for all of the advice and kind words. I took the contact HR route suggested since social contacts were not panning out. One HR department was able to pass on my contact details to the parent of one housemate who got in touch with me. Through her, I established contact with the other set of parents and tied everyone together with the sheriff's office and county coroner. Since everything is still up in the air about my housemate's property, everyone is okay with me continuing to live there and maintain the property while we sort it out. I am absolutely holding my normal monthly rent payment to eventually give to someone as soon as that someone is identified. Again, thank you all for the advice. And guys, I would say this more or less rounds up the story. It is not the perfect ending we would have wished for, but then again, this is by in and itself a very sad story, so there cannot be a positive ending or something. However, either way, I hope you enjoyed the stories for today. Currently, I feel like that you guys really like legal advice, so I will definitely continue doing it. Please let me know what you think about that in the comments. In addition, if you are interested in Just No Mother-in-Law stories, I would suggest to head on over to patreon.com/ripeyoutube, where you will find my exclusive Patreon page with over 30 mother-in-law videos for you to unlock in case you are willing to pay $3 per month. This is only a bonus for the people who really miss Just No Mother-in-Law, and Patreon simply gives me the freedom to post whatever I want, so that's why I do it over there. Anyway, thank you so much for watching and for all your support, I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a fantastic day and I see you again tomorrow.